let's emulate and follow the footsteps of our beloved Prophet. And so she played her part as daughter towards her father. The next one is Fatima as wife. This should go to all of us, men and women. The role that Bibi Fatima played as wife of Imam al Mahdi. You know, I was mentioning this here or somewhere, I don't know, last month or last 2 months. You know, there were discussions. This I read it from a magazine called Majalla Alim al-Ma'arifi from Kuwait, whereby there was a discussion and research on what constitutes the success of every marital relationship. How do you measure that you are indeed successful in your marriage? So they came up with different barometers to look at successful marriage. First one, you know, psychologists are of the view that this is written in that magazine, that there are 2 elements. If those 2 elements are found in every relationship, be rest assured that relationship is successful. I'm just quoting what I read, and then I will tell you about Bibi Fatima. It's a number 1, trust, and number 2, happiness. So if I'm with my husband or wife, so long as I trust and I'm happy, then I'm successful. God, he says sometimes you are happy but you don't trust. May Allah forbid. And sometimes you trust but you're not. You know those who are not happy, what they do? They hang around in barazas. Please, I need to go home. No, let's chill out a bit. I need to go home. No, let's chill out a bit. Baba, let's chill out what? You've got wife. Let us kuno ilaya. Happiness, trust. And you know, they conducted the survey through both men and women. And so most of them were of the view that no, what is happiness to them is when you sit with your husband and he gives you hearing, he listens to you, and he understands what you say, then that's happiness. They are successful. We said, okay, fine. But Islamically, that is not complete. Second yardstick to measure the success according to that research. So no, you know, everybody's got natural needs. If my natural need is properly taken care of, irrespective of whatever in the relationship, I'm successful. Third one is what we learn from Bibi Fatima. The yardstick to measure successful marriage. I mentioned it the other night. Fatima is our role model. Before you get into marriage or while you are now in this relationship, ask yourself, why? Why are you in it? What is it that Allah expects you to achieve out of it? So Bibi alayhi salam identify what marriage is all about, and she went through that marriage through certain factors and elements. And I'm going to share these factors and elements that we get from Bibi alayhi salam. The first one is what? Bibi Fatima focused on values and not material. Where do we get that from? Look at her mahar. Of course, there are so many versions of traditions as to what was the mahar of Bibi Fatima. One version is that Rasulullah sat with Amir al-Mu'minin and he asked Amir al-Mu'minin, what do you have for this marriage? Amir al-Mu'minin said, Ya Rasulullah, you know, I've got only 3 things with me. Rasulullah asked him, what are those things? He said, I've got my sword, I've got my shield, and this animal. Then Rasulullah said, as for your sword, you cannot be independent of it because you need it. And as for the animal also, you need it because you have to go buy something, bring it, help Muslim, help your family, so you can give your shield for that nikah. That's one version. Another version said, no, Rasulullah sat with his beloved daughter Fatima, and he asked her, Ya Fatima, what do you want for your nikah? She said, my mahar should be the shafa for your ummah on the day of Qiyamah. And hence narration mentioned. And hence narration mentioned that during the marriage of Bibi Fatima, while the Holy Prophet was officiating the marriage, Jibreel came down with a piece of silk. Written on that silk, Allah made the mahar of Fatima shafa for the ummah of Muhammad on the day of Qiyamah. That's another version. We do have another version also from our tradition, that the mahar of Bibi Fatima was 400 dirham. Some said 430. Some said 480. Other tradition said 500 dirham. But al-muhim, if you look at the mahar of Bibi Fatima, you'll be able to deduce that it was very humble mahar. Baba, Rasulullah, he had Islamic treasury under him. He could spend. It's a lesson for all of us. I'm not saying when we have a marriage, you do not spend. But wallah, what is important when it comes to marriage are the Islamic values that are attached and associated with those marriage. So Bibi Fatima alayha salam, she focused on values and not material. Today you find in our communities, some quarters of our community, people go to an extent of borrowing money for reception. If you have, excellent, do it. But don't put yourself under pressure. You finish the walima in the mosque. If you can't afford, don't do. It is not must to do. Try as much as you can to stay away from wanting to fit in. This notion of wanting to fit in is causing mayhem. Come on a honeymoon. If people cannot afford because they've gone to Sri Lanka, we also want to go to Sri Lanka. Baba, if you can't afford Sri Lanka, there is no point. If you can, why not? It's good. But if you can't, as they said, you know, it's expression, cut your coat according to your size. I won't go to a tailor, a designer. It's this abaya, like it's too big for me, this one. But, you know, I will make sure I get a small abaya. But I won't go and then get something which is bigger than my size. Again, Fatima focus on values. Sometimes during our reception, music. It's advice. Let's learn from this great lady. Walima is sunnah of the Prophet, without a shadow of doubt. To bring people to celebrate your marriage is sunnah. But you go to an extent of playing music. Sometimes when the music is played, they usher the bride and the bridegroom, and the dress code is not good. You tell them, no, this is one day only, Sheikh Nuru. Baba, one day, there is no one day in Allah's encyclopedia. Each and every day is a day in Allah's encyclopedia. Fatima alayha salam focused on values. When it comes to our marriages, let's focus on values. What are these values? Love for Allah, love for Rasul, love for Ahlul Bayt, and mutual respect and understanding. Number two factor, Bibi Fatima focused in that marriage. And tonight we are all sitting here because of the barakah of that marriage. This is a very simple akhlaqi lesson I'm sharing with you on this night. It's that Fatima and Amir cooperated with one another. There was a strong cooperation between the two. Today, we are losing patience. Small issue in the marriage, talak. Small thing, talak. Talak now is becoming slogan. It's becoming anthem. There was cooperation between Amir al Mu'mineen and Fatima. Yes, we will not be like Amir al-Mu'mineen and Fatima, but we should be able to follow their footsteps and take something from them. Amir al-Mu'mineen would have helped out. Bibi Fatima would have helped out. And we know very well the traditions. Imam would tell Bibi, I will go out to bring water. I say, go and bring water. Today we've got water. And Bibi Fatima would be there trying to help out. Today, you know, there is no cooperation in some quarters. In the sense that husband work around the clock, wife works around the clock. They hardly have time to talk. There was time, a couple came to see me somewhere. And when they came, they said, Sheikh Nuru, we're here, we just want talak. We want nothing from you. And if you can't give us talak, we'll go somewhere. I said, no, but no, it doesn't work out that way. Let's try to resolve this issue. If I can't, I can refer you to those who are more experienced than me to help you. They said, no, Sheikh. So I asked them, why? They said, you know what, Sheikh? We've been married for 2 years. We've never experienced any problem. Our main issue is that each and every one of us work 12 hours daily. We never had time to speak to one another. We always buy food from outside, and we have reached this level that the feeling is dead. And when children are involved, it becomes serious. So you need that cooperation between you and your wife. You know your circumstance in the family. You know your marital circumstance. Go around that circumstance, discuss with your wife or your husband, and build that civilization and that long-lasting generation that Imam Sahib al-Amr want to have. Number 3. Bibi Fatima alayha salam and Amir al-Mu'mineen had mutual respect. Ihtiramul mutabadil. They respected each other. The expression was unbelievable. You know, how to talk is crucial. Shouting when you deal with your wife and husband, it doesn't help. Respect one another in the way we speak to one another. No one is perfect, but we can manage. You know that angel woman you want and that angel husband you want, they are not there, but you can make what you have that angel. You can tick all the boxes. We got youngsters or youth. We say, no, I want a woman tahajjud. I want the woman Quran. It's not easy. But you can make it happen if you want. And that is why I give example. This from Quran. And no doubt this was in the family of Amir and Fatima. It's a simple advice for married couples and those who are inspiring or aspiring to get married. You know, Prophet Ibrahim taught us our responsibilities as husbands and wives towards one another. What is that responsibility? Number 1, try to advise one another in doing good and following Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala. وَأْمُرْ أَهْلَكَ, Quran said, بِالصَّلَاةِ وَاسْتَبِرْ عَلَيْهَا لَا نَسْأَلُكَ رِزْقًا. Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala is telling us, وَأْمُرْ أَهْلَكَ بِالصَّلَاةِ. Teach, guide, command your family to establish salah, to pray. Oh, Jahan, have you prayed? Can we pray together? You know, we can't go for Dua Kumail. Can we do it together? Okay, we can't do everything. Can we recite half of it and next week we do the rest? You need to be creative in worshiping Allah. And the best way to do that is you and your wife and you and your husband. Likewise, Ibrahim would make dua, isn't it? Rabbi ja'alni muqim as-salah wa min dhurriyyati. Your wife is weak. Your husband is weak. Don't give up. Don't go to baraza talking ill of her. Sit together. Make dua for her. She's not wearing hijab. Relax. Make dua for her. Talk to her. You know, make dua. Ja'alni muqim as-salah. وَمِن ذُرِّيَّتِي رَبَّنَا وَتَقَبَّلْ دُعَاء. We need to make dua for one another. Ya Allah, my wife is not that strong. Allah strengthening her. Ya Allah, my husband is not that strong. Allah make my husband strong. We find that in the house of Bibi Fatima alayha salam. You know what Bibi will do? Bibi Fatima, Imam Hassan al-Hussein Ma'sumin. She would ask them, she would send them to the mosque of the Prophet where Quran was being recited. Go sit and listen to the verse of Quran. When they would come back home, she would ask them to recite what you heard from the mosque. This are ma'sumin bad. And so therefore, mu'minin and mu'minat, we need patience. We need patience. Everything cannot be rosy on a silver platter. Without patience, we cannot prepare for the coming of our Imam. Without patience, we cannot be true servant of Allah. When you have a problem, father-in-law, mother-in-law, don't push your daughter to get divorced. Don't push your son to get divorced. Unless if it is totally unhealthy and totally beyond control. Then of course there is no choice. But we can try our level best. We've got scholars within our communities. We've got experienced elders within our communities. We've got people who are expert in deedful. Try as much as you can. Find every excuse to ensure that your marriage is not broken. So let's learn from Fatima alayhi salam as wife.